You are stronger than you think. But the problem is, you don't believe it yet. Right now, you may be underestimating yourself in ways you don't even realize, and that quiet self-doubt is costing you opportunities, relationships, inner peace, and the life you genuinely deserve. Sounds harsh, doesn't it? But here's what shocked me while studying ancient Stoic philosophy. The greatest minds in history, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, all discovered the same hidden pattern that reveals when someone is living far below their true potential. So stay with me, because what I'm about to share will completely change the way you see yourself. We're going to uncover the subtle signs that you're undervaluing who you are, and more importantly, how Stoic wisdom can help you break free from this invisible prison. Let's begin. Number 1. You apologize for things you don't need to apologize for. Let me ask you something. How many times today did you say, "I'm sorry," for something that wasn't actually your fault? What most people don't realize is that excessive apologizing is one of the clearest signs that you're underestimating your own worth. The Stoic philosophers understood this deeply. Epictetus, who was born into slavery, once said something incredibly powerful. No man is free who is not master of himself. Think about it. When you apologize for taking up space, for having an opinion, or simply for existing in a conversation, what are you really saying? You're silently telling the world, and more importantly, yourself, that your presence is somehow an inconvenience. Let me give you a real example. Sarah is a brilliant software engineer, yet in every meeting she starts her ideas with, "Sorry, this might be a stupid thought," but her ideas are consistently the best in the room, and still she leads with an apology. Why? Because she's convinced herself that her thoughts matter less than everyone else's. The Stoic perspective is clear. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Your words matter. Your ideas matter. Your existence does not require an apology. Here's the shift. Replace "I'm sorry" with "thank you." Instead of "I'm sorry I'm late," try "thank you for waiting." Feel the difference? One diminishes you. The other shows respect without sacrificing your dignity. Summary: every unnecessary apology is a small vote against your own self-worth. The Stoics would say you're giving away your power in exchange for external approval. But wait, the next sign is even more subtle, and it may be affecting you right now. Number 2, you downplay your achievements when you're complimented. "Oh, it was nothing. I just got lucky. Anyone could have done it." Sound familiar? Here's the crazy part. When someone genuinely praises your work, your instinct is to deflect, minimize, and redirect. This isn't humility, it's self-sabotage disguised as modesty. The Stoics made a crucial distinction between arrogance and honest self-assessment. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." When you downplay your achievements, you're not being humble, you're secretly seeking permission from others to feel proud of yourself. Let me tell you something clearly. If you spent 60 hours on that project, pushed through doubt, and delivered something excellent, and someone recognizes it, that recognition is accurate. It's not exaggerated, it's not undeserved, it's simply the truth being spoken out loud. There's an interesting psychology study from Stanford University. Researchers found that people who regularly reject compliments score 43% lower in self-confidence than those who accept them graciously. In other words, they're training their brains to believe they're less capable than they actually are. So what's the Stoic practice here? Honest self-evaluation without false humility and without arrogance. Marcus Aurelius regularly reminded himself of his abilities, not to boast, but to understand how well he could serve Rome. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one."
Next time someone compliments you, try this simple response. Thank you. I worked hard on that, and I appreciate you noticing. No deflection, no minimization, just honest acknowledgement. You might be wondering, but won't people think I'm arrogant? The truth is, people who can accept compliments calmly are actually more likable, not less. Why? Because they're not playing the exhausting game of fake humility, which makes everyone uncomfortable. But here's something even more interesting. Number 3, you constantly ask for permission before taking action. Let's be honest. If you're asking others for permission when you don't actually need it, it means you don't trust your own judgment. The Stoics called this outsourcing your authority, and it absolutely destroys your personal power. Epictetus, once a slave, later one of the most influential philosophers in history, taught his students, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Every unnecessary request for permission places your freedom in someone else's hands. Here's what this looks like in real life. Asking your partner if it's okay to pursue a passion you deeply care about. Checking with coworkers before sharing an idea you've already thought through. Seeking validation from friends before making personal decisions. Waiting for the right time that never actually comes. Don't misunderstand me. Collaboration matters. Seeking advice from trusted mentors is wise, but there's a massive difference between asking for advice and asking for permission. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who habitually seek unnecessary permission experience 38% higher anxiety and feel 52% less control over their lives. Think about that. You're creating anxiety by giving away your own decision-making power. Stoic philosophy is beautifully simple. Identify what's within your control and act decisively there. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire in the world, yet constantly reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Here's your action step. Over the next week, notice every time you're about to ask for permission. Pause. Ask yourself, do I actually need permission, or am I just seeking validation? If it's the second one, make the decision yourself. Let me share a personal example. For months, I wanted to start a YouTube channel about Stoic philosophy. I kept asking friends, would you watch it? Do you think I should do it? Eventually, I realized I wasn't looking for advice. I was looking for permission because I was afraid to fail. What's the Stoic answer to that fear? Seneca said it best. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. Summary. Every time you ask for unnecessary permission, you reinforce the belief that others can run your life better than you can. And this is where most people completely miss the next sign.
Before we continue, let me say one quick thing. If any of this resonates with you, if you're starting to recognize these patterns in your own life, do me a small favor. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It truly matters because when you engage, YouTube's algorithm shows this content to more people who need it. And beyond that, I'm building a community of people who are serious about inner growth and Stoic philosophy, and I'd genuinely love for you to be part of it. Also, tap the notification bell, because what comes next will challenge everything you think you know about self-worth. Now, let's talk about something that might make you uncomfortable. Number 4, you tolerate disrespect in the name of keeping the peace. Here's a hard truth. When you tolerate disrespect, you're not being mature. You're teaching others that your boundaries are negotiable. The Stoics were completely uncompromising on this point. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say accept the injury. He said, be different from the one who wronged you, meaning maintain your standards and your dignity. Let me paint a familiar scenario. You're in a meeting. A colleague takes credit for your idea. Your stomach tightens. Anger flares up. But instead of addressing it, you tell yourself, it's not worth the conflict. I'll just work harder next time. Do you know what you just told yourself? That preserving a false sense of harmony matters more than your self-respect. And trust me, your subconscious is taking notes. Here's the psychological reality. A Columbia University study found that people who consistently avoid conflict to keep the peace experience 61% higher levels of resentment, passive-aggressive behavior, and relationship breakdowns. Why? Because unspoken boundaries don't disappear, they rot. The Stoic approach is completely different. Epictetus taught, if you want not to be prone to anger, do not feed the habit. Give it nothing which may increase it. In practical terms, this means addressing disrespect immediately, calmly, and firmly. Not with aggression, but with unshakable standards. Here's what that looks like in real life. When someone repeatedly interrupts you, I'd like to finish my point, please. When someone takes credit for your work, actually, I developed that idea, and I'd appreciate the recognition. When someone crosses a personal boundary, that doesn't work for me. What I need is this. Do you notice the pattern? No apologies, no hostility, just clear, calm statements of reality. And here's what might surprise you. People actually respect you more when you set boundaries. A Harvard Business Review study found that leaders who maintain respectful, direct communication have teams with 47% higher morale and 33% better performance. The Stoics understood something profound. Your tolerance for disrespect sets the standard for how you're treated. When you accept less than you deserve, you're not being noble, you're undervaluing yourself. But wait, the next sign may be the most dangerous of all. Number 5, you credit success to external factors and blame failure on personal flaws. This pattern is incredibly destructive. Let me show you how it works. When you succeed, I just got lucky. It was good timing. Other people helped me. When you fail, I'm not smart enough. I'm not capable. I always mess things up. Do you see what's happening? You give away credit when you win and take full responsibility when you lose. Psychologists call this asymmetric attribution, and it's one of the clearest signs of chronic self-undervaluation. The Stoics used a completely different framework. Marcus Aurelius practiced what he called objective judgment, observing events without distortion. He wrote, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth.
Here's the truth. Your success is never entirely luck. Your failure is never entirely personal inadequacy. Both are complex outcomes of preparation, action, circumstances, and yes, your ability. Let me give you a concrete example. James spent 6 months building a business that failed. His first thought, I'm terrible at business. I should just get a normal job. But when we examine it objectively, the Stoic way, here's what we find. 1. He entered an already saturated market, circumstance. He didn't validate the product with customers first, a fixable mistake. He worked 70-hour weeks with remarkable discipline, personal strength. He developed advanced marketing skills along the way, capability growth. Do you see the difference? An honest assessment includes all the factors, not just self-blame. The psychological damage of asymmetric attribution is severe. Research from the University of Pennsylvania shows that people with this pattern experience 73% higher rates of imposter syndrome, 58% lower willingness to take on challenging projects,
and 44% fewer career advancement opportunities over a 10-year period. You are programming yourself for mediocrity by refusing to acknowledge your role in your own success. Stoic practice. When things go well, honestly assess your contribution. When things go wrong, honestly assess all contributing factors, not just your shortcomings. As Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Here's your challenge. Think of your most recent success. Now list 5 specific actions you took that contributed to that outcome. Not luck, not timing, your actions. Does that feel uncomfortable? Good. That discomfort is the gap between your real value and the value you've been assigning yourself. But the next pattern is even more unsettling. Number 6. You overcommit to others while neglecting your own needs. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. When was the last time you said yes to someone else while every part of you wanted to say no? Here's the harsh truth. Constant overgiving is not generosity, it's self-neglect. The Stoics were crystal clear about this. Epictetus taught his students, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. Notice the order. First, define your path, then act accordingly, not the other way around. But here's what most people do instead. They allow other people's needs, expectations, and emergencies to shape their entire lives. They become what I call chronic people pleasers, so busy managing everyone else's priorities that they completely abandon their own. Let me tell you about Maria. She's a talented graphic designer. Whenever friends need a quick favor, she drops everything. When her boss asks her to take on just one more project, she agrees. When her family needs something, she rearranges her entire life. And after 3 years, here's what she had. No progress on her own business dreams, chronic exhaustion and resentment, a reputation for being reliable, meaning everyone depended on her, and deep anger at herself for feeling weak. But what she didn't realize, this wasn't weakness. It was a profound undervaluation of her own worth. Deep down, she believed other people's time and needs mattered more than her own. The psychological here is striking. A Stanford University study found that chronic overcommitters experience what researchers call self-betrayal trauma, the psychological damage caused by repeatedly choosing others over oneself. Long-term effects include 67% higher rates of anxiety and depression, 54% increased risk of burnout, and a 41% decline in self-esteem over time. You know what's crazy? You're not only hurting yourself, you're also preventing other people from developing their own problem-solving abilities. When you constantly rescue others, you rob them of the chance to grow.
The Stoic perspective is completely different. Marcus Aurelius, a man with thousands of people depending on him every single day, wrote, "Learn to ask of all actions, why are they doing this? But begin with yourself. Question yourself first." Here's how to practice this. Before you say yes to any request, ask yourself these 3 questions. 1. Does this align with my core values and priorities? 2. Am I saying yes because I genuinely want to, or because of guilt or fear? 3. What am I saying no to in my own life by saying yes to this? If you can't answer these questions honestly and positively, then your answer should be a respectful no. And here's a sentence that changed my life. I'm honored that you thought of me, but I don't have the capacity to give this the attention it deserves right now. Notice, no apology, no excuses, just clear, honest communication. Summary. Every time you ignore your own needs to please others, you send yourself a powerful message. I matter less than they do. The Stoics would say you're betraying your duty to yourself.
The next sign is something most people do every single day without realizing it. Number 7, you compare your behind-the-scenes life to everyone else's highlight reel. Social media has turned this pattern into something deeply destructive. Let me break down what's happening in your brain right now. You scroll through Instagram, you see a former classmate's promotion announcement, perfect vacation photos from your friends, a low-effort morning routine from an influencer, a founder's overnight success story. And how do you feel? Behind, inadequate, like you're failing at life. Here's what the Stoics understood over 2,000 years before Instagram existed. Comparison steals joy, and it's built on fundamentally false information. Marcus Aurelius wrote something profound. The consequences of anger are far graver than the causes. Replace anger with comparison, and you'll see the modern epidemic. The damage you inflict on yourself through constant comparison is far worse than the insecurity that originally triggered it. Let me show you the uncomfortable truth. That so-called overnight success, they worked quietly for 7 years. That effortless morning routine, it's a carefully edited 30-second clip from a 2-hour chaotic morning. That perfect relationship, they don't post the arguments and hard conversations. You are comparing your unedited reality to other people's carefully constructed fiction. Here's the psychological cost. A study published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology found that people who spend more than 30 minutes a day comparing themselves to others on social media experience a 71% increase in depressive symptoms, a 63% increase in anxiety, a 48% drop in self-esteem, a 56% decrease in overall life satisfaction. Think about that. You're making yourself miserable by mistaking highlight reels for real life. So what's the Stoic practice? Epictetus taught, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Stop watching other people's paths and start walking your own. The only comparison that matters is between you today and you yesterday. Here's a practice that changed everything for me. The 3 wins exercise. Whenever you catch yourself spiraling into comparison, immediately list 3 things you've accomplished or improved recently. No comparison to anyone else, just your own progress. For example, I had a difficult conversation I would have avoided 6 months ago. I've been more consistent with my morning routine than last month. I learned a new skill I knew nothing about a year ago. Do you see what happens? You shift from external comparison to internal progress tracking. That's pure Stoic wisdom. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth, and yet he constantly reminded himself, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Summary: every moment you spend comparing yourself to others is a moment stolen from building yourself. A Stoic would say you're giving away your power to people who don't even know you exist.
But wait, something even more subtle is happening. Number 8, you exaggerate potential negative outcomes while minimizing potential positive ones. This pattern keeps you stuck more than almost anything else. Here's how it plays out. You're considering a career change. Instantly, your mind floods with worst-case scenarios. What if I fail completely? What if I can't pay my bills? What if people think I'm stupid? What if I'm just not good enough? These thoughts feel very real, very vivid, very certain. But when you imagine the potential upsides, they feel vague, unlikely, almost naive to consider. That's not realism, it's negativity bias, and it's a clear sign you're undervaluing yourself. The Stoics had an interesting practice called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. But here's what most people miss. They didn't catastrophize. They prepared rationally for worst-case scenarios while maintaining confidence in their ability to handle them. Seneca wrote,
We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Sit with that. The suffering you're experiencing right now from imagined disasters is worse than most of the real challenges you'll ever face. Let me show you the difference. Catastrophic thinking. If I start this business and it fails, I'll be ruined. People will judge me. I'll prove I'm incompetent. My life will be over. Stoic preparation. If this business doesn't work, I'll gain valuable experience, sharpen my skills, and apply those lessons to my next venture. I'll handle it. See the difference? One assumes you're powerless, the other assumes you're capable. Here's the neuroscience behind it. Your brain is wired towards negativity for evolutionary reasons. Our ancestors who assumed the rustling bush was a tiger survived more often than those who assumed it was the wind. But in the modern world, that same bias becomes destructive. Research from UCLA shows that people who consistently catastrophize while dismissing positive outcomes take 68% fewer ambitious career steps, experience 74% higher levels of anxiety, report 52% lower life satisfaction, and achieve results far below their measured potential. You are quietly walking away from the life you could be living. Stoic practice, balanced evaluation. For every potential negative outcome, you must vividly imagine the potential positive outcomes as well. Marcus Aurelius called this seeing things as they truly are, not pessimism, not optimism, but reality. Your exercise. Think about something you're avoiding right now because of fear. Now, write down the worst realistic outcome that could happen, not a catastrophic fantasy, something genuinely plausible. Then write down exactly how you would handle that situation, step by step,